We all made it to the end of the week. Congratulations. So we'll begin this afternoon with this question. Who do you think you are? You may have seen the NBC hit that airs tonight right here on Channel 12. And the same Ancestry.com researchers who've traced the roots of celebrities like, say, Sarah Jessica Parker, Emmett Smith, and Martin Sheen have taken our own Kim Covington onto a journey into her past, a past that you thought was lost.
Yeah, I really did. Like most African Americans, my family tree has a lot of missing limbs. But Ancestry researchers have uncovered what they uncovered not only extended our branches, but it has changed who I am. This is who I thought I was, just a girl who grew up with 3 siblings in one of the most distressed areas in the nation, East St. Louis, where many students don't make it to college. Education was a badge of honor my mom taught me to wear. The retired teacher never removes hers. So I went on to one of the country's top journalism schools. Soon Wayne grew tired of the discrimination and quickly got to work, reporting on stories that mattered to the community. I found time to weave the arts into my life. Oh, do you keep the music playing? Just like my dad. But this is just a fraction of who I am.
What we have are a lot of records that are available online.
Researchers from Ancestry.com found a larger equation. They have 8 billion historical records. Could they find my family?
What do you know about the line of your last name, the Covington line?
We don't know much. We don't know much about our family. That's really painful.
Yeah. I speak with a lot of African Americans who feel like it's hopeless to trace their roots, and it's not true. There's so much to be found, and there's so much out there, and that lost history can be taken back.
And just like that, branches I thought could never sprout grew.
So this is your family tree.
That I thought had stopped with my grandfather Roosevelt, who died when my dad was a boy.
We're jumping way back to start out with 140 years.
Through this census report, I now have a snapshot of who I really am. That's how anyone can find their history. The country has been taking the census since 1790.
And if you come down here, you can see the Covington family. And here is Joseph, your second great-grandfather.
My great-grandfather.
He's 2 years old.
Living in Carroll County, Mississippi. And look, now I know the names of his parents. My great-great-grandparents, Hannah and Ephraim Covington.
Your second great-grandmother is 22 years old in 1870. What might that suggest to you?
I'm afraid to say.
Odds are she was born enslaved, as was her husband.
This was the first census that lists former slaves by their first names. Hannah and Ephraim would have spent about 20 years in slavery. So my great-grandfather Joseph was one of their first children to be born free.
5-10 years previous, they were property. They were considered less than horse and cattle.
And here's another sign that they're now being treated like a human being.
Here in the census, we see this declaration: no, I am a U.S. citizen and I can vote.
Oh, wow. The Covingtons have lots of neighbors, and one of them has a famous great-granddaughter.
And his name is Elmer Winfrey.
Like Oprah Winfrey?
It's possible that your family and Oprah's family interacted or intertwined in some way.
Wow.
Did you ever think your family tree might collide with
Not
Oprah's?
in a million years. Could have been picking cotton together.
They might have been picking cotton together. It's quite possible. Her family tree goes back to the exact same place that your family tree goes to.
Wow.
On that direct Winfrey line, and the Covingtons coming together in Carroll County, Mississippi.
The Covingtons live near the Winfreys and in this crowded Robinson family home, all sharecroppers. Anastasia and I discovered together that Carter Robinson is Hannah's dad, my third great-grandfather, who possibly had to change his African name. Anastasia says many Americans choose common names like Robinson, Jackson, and Williams when they were transported to the U.S. But Covington, where did that come from?
To find out their names you have to start looking into the slaveholder, and he lived just over in the other county. His name is W.N. Covington.
I also learned that through the census, we find where the Covington line started, in Virginia, where Hannah noted that her dad, Carter Robinson, was born. And Ephraim says his parents are from Maryland. Slaves, separated, possibly sold on the auction block, and transported.
We don't know their names. It doesn't mean that we'll never know their names.
The Covington's life was visibly hard and tragic. Here's more evidence. Over a 30-year period, my great-great-grandmother had 14 children.
14 children, and 7 of them died. That must have been devastating.
While an earlier census report shows that no one can read or write, later, progress.
Oh, yes. Oh, that's great.
They may have started enslaved, and it may have been a hard, long road. But if you look over at your family here, where their children are educated, where their children can read and write, and then you fast forward 110 years to you and what you've been able to accomplish, and you think about that legacy that you can hand to your children over the course of when it becomes 200 years, what your family has been able to accomplish, despite the horrible history that's back there.
Empowered and anxious to return home to share this family history of horror and hope.
So I can only imagine how my family reacts, because we really knew nothing about the Covington ancestry. It really has changed our lives. And the research doesn't end. My brother and I sent in samples of our DNA to Ancestry.com, and soon they will determine exactly where our lineage began. And that's how star Blair Underwood uncovers his roots. You can watch his story tonight at 7 p.m. on NBC's Who Do You Think You Are?
I'm blown away.
I am too.
Just unreal.
It really has changed our trajectory about who we are. It really has given us great therapy, because we really didn't know our complete story about who we are. And once you do, you feel so much more empowered.
So does tonight's story at 10 pick up where that story left us?
Yes.
We saw that great reunion where you're walking into your front door of your parents' home. So it picks up from there.
Right. And my family didn't know which side of the tree Ancestry.com was going to focus on. Okay. My mom's side of the family is Collins. And we really thought they were going to do that because we have a lot of history there already. Right. But we knew nothing about Covington. I share that with my dad. He is blown away. And so is my brother. So very emotional interview with them.
And they found out, I say they in terms of Ancestry.com, they went about 2 weeks, it took them about 2 weeks to find out all that information about
all of that information in just a couple of weeks. This is who they are. This is what they do. And this is what they do for all the stars on the show. It takes them months. They travel to Africa. They travel to Europe. But she was able to uncover that information in just 2 weeks. Amazing.
I know this was hard, but it was also enlightening and just so thank you for doing it.
Thank you.
It's really amazing, and we look forward to your story tonight at 10 o'clock.
Thank you.
Tran, back over to you.
Absolutely fascinating. Thank you, Kim. For the first time, we are hearing from the TV news anchor who was bitten by a dog on the air, requiring 2 surgeries, 70 stitches, and a skin graft.
Start with a tough question. So how you doing?
I'm not supposed to laugh.